What's up, everybody? What's up on game? That's right, coming to you daily, up on game weekly. That's right. We're giving you something to think about every single day. We're taking takes on what's taking place in the world of sports. I'm LaVar Arrington, TJ Hushmazai's Plexico Burst, but I'm going to handle this one by myself, all right? We got some topics here to touch on and talk about. Let's start with child support. Woo! It's been reported that our guy, Antonio Brown, has indeed been detained, arrested, for not paying child support. Now, this comes on the heels of an arrest warrant being released before and not, I guess, being executed. He's also had a few other situations where he's had run-ins with the law. This is more of a conversation of a cautionary tale versus condemning and a judgment of Antonio Brown. I would say on this topic, the first thing I thought to myself is, one, make sure you're paying your child support. If you have a child out there, support your child. If you know you have a child, support the child, pay for the child. Two, if you don't want to have a child with the person that you're dealing with, then obviously the obvious response to that is make sure you're not having a child with a person that, well, you wouldn't want to have a child with. I mean, that's the best type of birth control is, well, not going there with somebody that you wouldn't want to deal with in that way. Because quite frankly, when you do the deed and this, that, and the other, and depending on how you do the deed, well, a baby comes later. Like, I know I didn't hit y'all with nothing new, but I just have to say it. Sometimes abstaining from situations is the best situation in that moment. But if you were to, and things were to happen in some way, somehow it plays out where there's a child involved, just make sure you're doing everything you can to maintain what that situation is and what it's supposed to be. So I'll say that on that front. But in terms of just looking at where AB is, I just really feel like he needs help. I thought about how many people are probably staying around him, how many people stay in his home, how many people go out to eat with him that he's paying for, how many people are riding the coattails of Antonio Brown and his fame and his fortune. In those moments, you should be really, really pinpointing, out of all those people, there's not one person that's making sure that he's staying above board. There's not one person that's checking in on his mental health. There's not one person that's checking in on, are his bills paid? Is he saving money? Is he being responsible? There's not one person? Because it just seems like everything I see, everything I read about Antonio Brown is him coming more and more unraveled from reality and unraveled from healthy, happy living. It just doesn't seem right. It seems like something's wrong. And I know people make a lot of jokes about AB and they talk about, how he is and how he acts and the different things that he's doing. While it may be funny in the moment, I think when you start to see real things like this happen, it starts to show a pattern of what I call destructive living and a destructive mentality. And if you have a destructive mentality, it really can only lead to one place and one place only. I've been making this comment about Britney Spears lately. I've been watching her on social media. I'll see her videos pop up. And I come from a period of time when Britney Spears was one of the biggest names in entertainment. And we saw her producing and putting out amazing hits. A lot of you guys saw Antonio Brown producing and putting out major games and major plays. And now we're seeing a shell of each person that's playing out in front of the whole entire country, the whole entire world. Somebody needs to help Britney Spears. Just like I'm saying, somebody needs to help out AB, somebody needs to help her out too. There seems to be mental health issues. I would have mental health issue concerns as it applies to Antonio Brown. And somebody at this point really, really needs to make an assertive effort. Now, I'll apologize if I'm wrong about somebody approaching him and trying to help him. Maybe there is someone in his life that is trying to help him. But certainly, if you didn't know he needed help or were ducking it or weren't addressing it head on before now, I think now you know for certain if you're around Antonio Brown and you have his ear, or you have the opportunity and the ability to be able to impact and help him, you need to do it. If he were in my life, if he were somebody that I was close with, super close with, there would be an intervention of sorts that take place. We got to sit down. We got to have a come to Jesus conversation, because I feel like outside of getting arrested, ending up in jail, we all know the next place where you end up when you have such a destructive way of going about the things that you're doing. I don't want to feel like I'm speaking out of term. I'm just speaking in terms of somebody who has been there. I've seen what the high life feels like. I've experienced what the high life feels like. It's all fun and games until you don't have anything. And once you don't have anything to offer people, they disappear. They go on to the next. They dissipate, and you're left alone. And the worst thing that can happen for someone like AB is he get left alone and not receive the type of help and counseling that's going to help him to live a more productive and a happier life. So I'm wishing you the best, AB. I know a lot of people will probably pile on you. The child support conversation is one of those where people immediately start judging, like, oh, he's a deadbeat. What's he doing? He's got all this money. Everybody starts having their own opinions about it. I'm not going to touch on that. I am one. I have been a recipient of child support. Make no mistake about it. I've paid child support, That's been a part of my life. And for good or for worse, once you know you have child support payments, you pay them. That's it. That's it. Take care of your child. It's not about her. It's about taking care of your child. All right. Let's move on to another topic. We find out that Aaron Rodgers is actually super, super far ahead of schedule in his rehab and healing process of his torn Achilles tendon. There's the speculation, the conversation. He was on Pat McAfee's show talking with him and AJ Hawk about where he's at and how his body's feeling. There's actually the conversation that he could make a return if the New York Jets are still competitive by the season's end. And I'm just curious as to what our fans think. You can chime in on this. Leave me a comment on, Up On Game Network, or you can leave it at my King of the Mammals on IG or on Twitter as well, at LaVar Arrington. You can do it with TJ and Plex as well, at Hoosh84 and Plexico Burst, and at Fox Sports Radio, by the way. You can leave comments there. Would you want to see Aaron Rodgers come back if he were indeed healthy enough to come back and play after recovering from the Achilles tendon injury? I say for a lot of reasons I'm conflicted, because if the team is actually good enough to go into the playoffs, that means that the quarterback playing, which would probably be Zach Wilson, has been playing well enough for them to make it into the playoffs. So why would you not ride the hot hand going into the playoffs? But the other side of me is like, it's Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is okay to play, if Aaron Rodgers is ready to play, then you play Aaron Rodgers. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't work out, then you know that Zach Wilson is the reason why you got there to begin with. And so you have him as a backup plan, which is a strong backup plan at that point. I don't think it could hurt anything other than if Aaron Rodgers were to get hurt some way, somehow, coming back prematurely from recovery. I think it would be an awesome story for sports. I think it'd be an awesome story for the NFL if Aaron Rodgers were indeed able to return and play. But what would that look like? And what does that mean for sports medicine, that a guy I tore my Achilles tendon. Let me tell you something. It's one of the most painful injuries. It's the reason why I stopped playing football. It's one of the most painful injuries that you'll ever receive. The post-surgery pain, horrible. The rehab of it was horrible. It was just super painful. But now keep in mind, that was in 06. I tore my Achilles tendon in 06. So I'm sure the advances on sports medicine and the techniques and all those things have advanced, but god dang, pain is pain. And I know pain ain't changed since the beginning of time. Pain is still pain, and that's a painful injury. So it'll be interesting to see what Aaron Rodgers is able to do, and I'm interested to see what you guys think. If you feel a certain type of way about it, leave it in my comments. Let me know. All right, our last topic of the day, Anthony Richardson. He's now been shut down for the season. A rotator cuff issue in his throwing arm. I would say coming out of this, I definitely err on the side of caution with a young talent. He's shown that he's talented. He's shown that he has the goods. But my biggest concern is, can he stay healthy? He's not been very healthy since getting into the NFL. We haven't had a large sample size of his durability from college because he didn't play very long. He didn't play very much. I believe it was one season that he started. I don't know if he can stay healthy. I think the biggest question for me, if I'm Irsay or anybody else that's in that locker room or decision makers for the Indianapolis Colts, is, do we have a quarterback that is too fragile to be able to handle being able to run a team all season long? You know, you have what is it now, 17 games. That's a lot. I believe it's 18 weeks of football. You throw in the bye week. That's a lot of football. And if your quarterback is good enough to get you into the playoffs, then there's even more games that they have to play. And then what about the season that follows? If you make it to the playoffs, you got things going on. What if you make it to the playoffs and you got to keep going? So to me, I think that there are a lot of different ways to look at the Anthony Richardson situation. At a glance, I say he's good enough, super talented, super gifted, physical freak. Don't want to take any unnecessary chances with him. But with that being said, I am definitely wondering, can he last? Is he durable enough? And his style of play, when you take hits, you're going to deal with damage. And that's just what it is. I mean, we live in a new world with the NFL. It's not as physical as it once was, but it's still physical enough, especially when you have a quarterback that doesn't stay out of harm's way and will actually run to the contact at time. So that's going to be a big question. Will he adjust and adapt his game to where he's not getting hit as much? How will he run the ball if he pulls the ball down? Those are questions that I think need to be answered, but the only time we'll be able to tell on that. All right. Final topic. Deion Sanders gets released that Deion Sanders is going to release a book in 2024. That book will basically detail how to go about being successful from the book of Deion. If there's anyone that has mastered the art of branding, anyone who has mastered the art of growing popularity and bringing visibility, and at the same time getting results while doing it in the athletics industry, it's Deion Sanders. I don't know anybody who's ever done it better than Deion Sanders. He's not just talk. You got to look at the results. As a player in college, he's just as good as anybody coming out, and that's including the Barry Sanders of the world, those type of guys that he came out in the draft with. I believe Troy Aikman was in that draft as well. But he's done it as a commentary person, a person that does television. So he's done media and has had a successful run at being in the media. He had a real long run with the NFL Network. I believe he might have been on another channel as well. He's also done it as a coach. And might I say, he's done it the right way. I mean, he's done it from bottom all the way up to the top. He's learned how to coach. He's learned how to put a staff together, keep a staff together. There are so many intricate details connected to, if you go into the mind of Deion Sanders, why he's able to have maintained the success while keeping the largest spotlight on him while doing so. I believe that this is a read that will be a very interesting read. I know I'll probably read the book and compare notes and see what he's talking about, see what direction he's coming from, things that maybe I can improve on or things that maybe I just didn't even think about. Usually when guys are as successful as Deion Sanders has been, there are things that if they are willing to actually disclose what it is that they're doing, what they're thinking, how they approach it, and break it down in a way where it's digestible and understandable, there's a possibility that you may be able to capture a small piece of that success that you're seeing him have in his life and in his career. So I'm looking forward to the book. I know there's a lot of differing opinions on Prime and everything that's going on. While he is made for show and he is made for prime time, if you ever stop and listen to him, he tells you prime time is a persona. That's something he created for the masses. It's a character. It's something that is for you to consume. It's a product. But Deion Sanders, the person, is 100% a real person, a human being that has feelings, that takes care of his kids, that is a loving person, gives back to his communities. I mean, profusely gives back to his communities and supports other guys. He's been supportive of me. I'm on that list, a long list of people that he's been supportive of through the years. So I support Deion in this endeavor. I don't think that it gets in the way of him coaching. I know a lot of people are asking the question, coach or do other things. You know, be focused in on coaching, more on coaching versus being more focused in on, enterprising. But I think that enterprising is athletics. If you take a look at what these owners are banking, if you take a look at what these college conferences are banking and what they're doing and where they're trying to draw their money and the amount of money that these coaches are making, it is an enterprise. So it is about making money. Now, while his distinction and his responsibility and his duty is to win games and to coach those guys up the right way, as long as you see that that's not hindering what he's doing on the field, I don't see there being any problems with it. But again, if you have a differing opinion of what I'm thinking, or when TJ and Plex are on what they're thinking, leave something in the comments. Let us know what you got going on. Appreciate your time. Make sure you tune in to Up On Game Saturdays from 9 to 11. And on the East Coast, it's noon to 2 o'clock. All right. Make sure you check us out on Up On Game and Up On Game Presents, wherever it is that you get your podcast from. Download, subscribe, follow, all those good things, whatever it is that you do. We appreciate your continued support. We'll continue to give you our takes and our opinions on what's taking place in the world of sports and how we feel about different things. All right. Till next time, we'll check you out. I'm LaVar Arrington. This is Up On Game, Fox Sports Radio. Peace.